Welcome to Ohio Stadium, home of the Ohio State Buckeyes and home of today's Ohio State versus Marshall game, kicking off at noon on Fox. Big noon kickoff pregame here. Also going to be a busy morning for Tony and I. Tony Gerdeman, of course, of BuckeyeHuddle.com joins me. Tony, I guess before we get to all of our stuff today, which I know is everyone's favorite thing to talk about, we should talk about the availability report because there is a somewhat surprising name and somewhat significant name on there today.
Yeah, starting defensive tackle Tyleik Williams will not be available today. Listed on the availability report as out, so Ohio State will go without their number 3 tackler, which is a surprise for defensive tackle, their top sacker, their top tackle for loss guy. So it's a significant loss because you never want to be without Tyleik Williams. So now they'll turn to some younger guys behind him, but yeah, I think if you're an Ohio State fan, you're hoping that this is not a long-term thing, and this is just one of those one-week situations.
And we'll get some clarity around that from Ryan Day after the game during the post-game press conference, I'm sure. You can find that at youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle or during our post-game tailgate show presented by Tailgate USA. Again, youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. Make sure you hit the thumbs up on this video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit the bell. There you go. Got all the admin stuff out of the way. Now on to the rest of the availability report. 2 guys, one we knew, one who's out for the season, TC Caffey, but also Rashid Cisse, walk-on running back. He had some moments during fall camp. I don't think we've seen him in a game yet, but this is a couple guys, maybe 5 and 6 on the depth chart at some point at the running back position, who won't be in there today. And this is not going to impact the game in any material way, but it's also, depending on what the severity of the injury to Rashid Cisse is, that's not a spot where Ohio State can afford a ton of losses personnel-wise.
Yeah, they're about at their limit right now, so they've still got their 4 scholarship guys, but we saw Sam Williams-Dixon get some time 2 weeks ago, and I'm sure they'd like to get more time this week. But when your scholarship guys are running out the clock, basically, then it can become an issue in terms of, at some point you'd like to get those guys out if you're in like a 70-0 game with a 4th quarter to go. So I think you want to get him back just in case. It's not a necessity. It's one of those luxuries that they'd like to have.
Definitely a luxury they'd like to have. If you're wondering what I'm doing just off camera right now, putting together a behind the scenes video. We know you guys love those behind the scenes videos, doing one on what it's like cover an Ohio State football game. So we'll have that for you at youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle at some point in the near future as well. So once again, Tony, a great reason to subscribe.
Yeah.
Another great reason to subscribe is this feels like it might be a pretty good football season in Columbus, Ohio. The Buckeyes off to a 2-0 start. They have not played anyone, and that will not materially change at the end of the day today. But it does feel like we're going to get another look at what could be one of the nation's, if not the nation's, best football teams. Georgia had a close call last week, so in Texas playing without a starting quarterback, I hear their backup's even better, Tony. So he's a Manning, it must be true. But this Ohio State team, what are you looking to see today? This is a game where they're again like a 40-something point favorite, give or take, and they sort of showed the complete game against Western Michigan for whatever that's worth against Western Michigan. What are you looking for today against Marshall?
The standard is the standard, Tom. So Ohio State has set the standard in terms of no touchdowns allowed. They're not going to be able to do that forever. At some point, Ohio State will give up a touchdown, maybe on the first drive today.
Possibly,
just to get it out of the way. But that's really what we're talking about, is picking up where they left off 2 weeks ago. You've got the week off. They tried to stay locked in as much as you can with an off week. So I want to see the offense continue to move down the field at will. I was looking to see when the last time Ohio State had consecutive games of 650 yards of total offense. I could not find one. So 684 last week.
Not against Rice and Pitt in 1996?
Well, no, I did not go back that far because I did not go beyond the Urban Meyer era.
Okay.
Because there's not a lot of reason generally.
They probably didn't do it in the Jim Tressel era,
right,
having been there for the Jim Tressel era.
So I did not, but that would be a good look to check the 1996. But even I think only twice in the last decade have they had consecutive 600-yard days. And so that's kind of what I would like to see, what you'd expect. I expect to see 600 yards. You shouldn't.
Yeah,
but this is going to be an overmatched Marshall team with an Ohio State offense that has everybody back now. Everybody's ready and good to go, and a quarterback that's continuing to get comfortable and be comfortable in the lineup. And weapons galore. So I want to see the offense pick up where they left off, and defensively, they're going to allow a touchdown at some point, but no busts, nothing like that.
Who do you see stepping in for Tyleik Williams? Is this the Kaden McDonald game?
And it could be, and we know like Kaden McDonald has been the backup nose tackle, but everybody cross trains, and Ty Hamilton can play 3-tech if they want to put Kaden McDonald at nose tackle. But right now, Kaden McDonald has had twice the number of snaps as Hero Kanu over the first 2 games.
Yeah.
So even though Hero Kanu is like the backup 3-tech, perhaps, I still think it'll be Kaden McDonald in there. I do wonder how much, how much are they going to maybe throw some defensive ends inside as well, or is this just an opportunity to give those young defensive tackles more and more reps? Maybe we'll see some Jason Moore and things like that, some Will Smith Jr. So maybe this is an opportunity to get everybody else some reps that they wouldn't get normally.
And that feels like that's how it has felt on the offensive line at times this season too, both during fall camp when they had the virus going around the offensive line room and you got a lot of the younger guys, a ton of good reps of the ones. Austin Searveld was the guy who maybe took the most advantage of that, and he was also took advantage of the fact that Donovan Jackson missed the first 2 games, got a couple starts at left guard, looked solid, no major complaints I don't think there. Now they get Donovan Jackson back. How much of a difference does that make to the Ohio State offensive line?
Well, and as Josh Fryer said, the communication is going to rise, and it's something that they not have struggled with, but they've had to improve upon. And from week 1 to week 2, they got better at it. Josh Fryer himself talked about, I need to be more communicative, I need to talk more. And so now you've just got a veteran offensive line. We're saying that with Tigre Cibola getting ready for his 3rd career start, but he is, a 3rd-year player at this point, a 3rd-year sophomore. And you talk about Austin Searveld taking advantage of fall camp. Tigre Cibola took advantage of fall camp in a very big way because he was in a position battle, and he ran away with it. And so you're seeing him play well this season as well. So I think getting Donovan Jackson back it's raises everybody else up, and it makes the connection from Seth McLaughlin to Josh Simmons better. It makes, we're going to see him pulling, and then it's going to get, he's a left guard, but he's going to be pulling to the right quite a bit in this one and getting out. And I'm sure he is looking very forward to getting out there, hitting some people because he's not been able to.
And this is, a lot of guys came back this season for their final year, and we've seen that in terms of Cody Simon came back, team captain, Block O jersey, but had to miss the first game because of an injury. Donovan Jackson came back for another year, missed the first couple of games. Denzel Burke last week missed 2 weeks ago, missed basically half of the game for a targeting penalty. That's something he talked about this week, that you came back, you only have so many games left. Jack Sawyer talked about only having it before the season, only having 8 games left in Ohio Stadium. After today, he'll have 5 games left in Ohio Stadium. These guys, you get the sense that it's easy to look at the schedule and kind of brush it off and, nothing, who cares? It's Marshall, whatever. But in a season where you came back and you are real aware of how many times you have left to do this, it feels like that's going to help them not overlook things in the same way that the standard is the standard.
Yeah, no, they came back for a purpose, and so they're going to appreciate and basically respect every Saturday and take it to heart, because we always talk about how the season just flies by. Like, we're already in week 4, and it was yesterday when we were talking about, can't wait for Big Ten Media Days. Like, this thing flies by now. Just imagine that. We talk to the seniors every year, and nobody's ever said this has been the longest 4 years of my life.
Yeah.
They always say, like, it has flown by. Even the 5th-year guys, even the 6th-year guys, it flies by for them. Nobody's ever like, this has taken a long time.
Even Bradley Robinson.
Yes, even
7th-year Bradley Robinson. Yeah, and you never heard him complain, college. So tired of this college football thing. One thing, if you have noticed, if you're watching, I've been hydrating quite a bit. It's going to be a little warm today. The forecast, I pulled up the forecast today, and it warned about the dangers of dehydration and heat stroke, or possible danger of dehydration and heat stroke while doing strenuous activities, which I will tell you, being a photographer is not the most strenuous activity, but being down there on the field, that when the sun is out, that field is 10 to 15 degrees warmer than surrounding areas. Somehow that never seems to work out in your advantage in November, because it's always cloudy, so it's always exactly as cold in November. During the first month of the season, it is hot down there. That's going to be one, it probably encourages Ohio State to play their depth a little bit more, which is probably a good thing in a game like this. you now have a whole second-team offensive line where you're not double shifting Austin Sierreveld, for example. I think this is one where you're probably going to see a fairly liberal rotation of guys because this is the last non-conference tune-up before you head into conference play.
Yeah, and they'll want to get out to that fast start so they can do that sooner. But I got to give you credit being down there. It's easier for the players because they're moving around and getting a little breeze from the movement. You're just situated there. And me, I'm in a window, and it's like an ant being focused upon by a magnifying glass. It gets warm, and there's no breeze like you get out there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe sometimes the air conditioning, you can feel it on the back of your neck, but that's a rarity. So we're all going to be hydrating. We're all going to be concerned and taking care of ourselves. But yeah, I think I am interested to see how liberal the rotations are when things are still 7-0 in the second quarter. God forbid. Like, how quickly is it? Gabe Powers out there, or Josh Mickens, Edric Houston. Those guys that are. We play in the fourth quarter. Well, yeah. Are you going to play in the third quarter this week? And how many of the third quarter guys are in the second quarter? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I'm expecting to see a fairly liberal rotation. I'm also expecting to see probably some Jeremiah Smith. Generally we will talk about him, and it's like, oh, good, we can put his name in the title. This one, I'm sure the title is going to be Ohio State defensive starter, surprisingly out for the game or whatever. But Jeremiah Smith, everyone always wants to talk about him. Let's talk about him for a minute. My bold prediction was he was going to meet or exceed 3 of his career highs. So 6 catches, 117 yards, 113 yards, whatever it was. He had 12 against Western Michigan, 2 touchdowns, long reception of 70 yards. Go ahead. Tell me what Jeremiah Smith's going to do today.
Well, yeah, I guess I will say, I'm going to say this. I was going to say 4 catches, but that seems very low. Mm-hmm. So I'll go 5, 79, and a touchdown. Very, very subpar day. Disappointing.
Very pedestrian day that will exceed the most of Ohio State's true freshman entire seasons. You had a great stat this week about just putting his first 2 games in perspective in terms of lots of other Ohio State great wide receivers and what they did in their first 2 games.
So I went back and looked at the first 2 games for everybody since Chris Olave, all of the top true freshman wide receivers. So Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jamison Williams,
Jackson Smith
and Jigba, Julian Fleming, Emeka Ibuka, Marvin Harrison, Brandon Ennis, and Carnell Tate. And all, 9 of those guys in their first 2 games combined for 83 yards receiving and like 10 catches, something like that. So maybe I'll say, here's this, 84 yards for Jeremiah Smith in this one to continue to dominate the freshman receiving statistics.
Yeah, he's definitely an outlier in a lot of ways. This is one that I think I looked at our score predictions, and I think everyone is very much in the same general range. We've all been very closely together on our score predictions among the Buckeye Huddle staff this year, and the good news is it's not groupthink because we've been basically right on all of them, so that's good. I think I had 48-3 Buckeyes today. What did you have?
I believe I had 52-3. So
one more touchdown,
similar.
One less field goal.
So I mean, again, they've scored over 50 points in each game. No reason to suspect that they won't now. Now, first game they needed 2 defensive touchdowns to get him done, but we'll see.
Marshall has turned the ball over at points this season, so could happen again today. We will all find out together, and then afterwards we will all talk about it together on the post-game huddle presented by Tailgate USA at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle. Make sure, if you are not subscribed, what on earth are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you get notified. That post-game show generally starts a little before the game ends, so you can, the game's over before it's really over in a lot of these cases. So you can hop on there, get some instant insight and analysis from Mark Givler and Devin Radcliffe after the game. Then we'll have all the post-game interviews. If we can make the timing work out, we'll have some live Charles Huff press conference from the Marshall side of things, and then the Ryan Day press conference, talking to Buckeye players, coaches, much more. And then, of course, the Buckeye Weekly live post-game instant reaction show. That's all going to be at youtube.com/Buckeye Huddle after the game. And if you want to find us at BuckeyeHuddle.com as well, this is maybe the best time ever to do that because we're running our flash sale right now. Get access to the site, all the insider content and analysis, on the Huddle board presented by Jeff Ruby's Columbus all at BuckeyeHuddle.com for just $4.99 for your first month. So if you want to try that out, we would love to see you there. Go to BuckeyeHuddle.com, click on subscribe today at the top, and fill that out, and then you'll get access for today's game, the Michigan State game next weekend, Iowa after that, and even the Oregon game, and then the week after the Oregon game, when I'm sure there will either be a lot of hooray or a lot of oh no on the Huddle board. We will see. You can find out together with us by signing up today. That will do it. We will talk to you guys after the game.